The following content has been provided by RWTH Aachen University.
Couple examples. This is a ticket machine in Stockholm, and the interface is actually surprisingly complicated. You start in the middle to have to press a blue button 1 or 2 or 3 times to tell the machine if you want a ticket for zone A and B, or A, B, and C. Then you have to move down and press the second blue button once for a regular ticket or twice for a reduced price ticket. Then you have to swipe your credit card all the way up there. And then I think the next thing you do is you move back to the center and press the green button once, and then the ticket appears over there to the left. Why is that sort of a sucky interface? Because apart from the fact that you have to press these buttons several times, and which is always kind of confusing for people, you are jumping around. You don't use a natural ordering, a flow, which is also a perceptual analogy from top to bottom. Right? A simple interface would instead use a top-to-bottom mapping like this. First you pick your zone here, 1, 2, or 3 zones. Sorry, this is in Swedish, so. And then, step number 2 would be select your discount over here. And then the third thing would be you pay, and you finally get your ticket, right? So that would be much easier to process. So these are analogies that are natural. From top to bottom is a natural analogy, going from top to bottom. If you think about all the scripts in the world, all the way that people are writing in the world, there are lots of scripts that go from left to right, okay, like our Western script. There are scripts that go from right to left, like the Hebrew script. There are scripts that go from top to bottom. But I've so far never seen one that goes from bottom to top. So there seems to be a universal agreement that things at least flow from top to bottom. Left, right, or right, left is really culturally specific, but top to bottom seems to be universal. So having an interaction flow from top to bottom is a very natural choice that people will immediately understand. And what does that mean? You look at the Apple iOS design guidelines, for example, for building iPhone apps. They will tell you to make sure that your application shows the most important content and the things people should see first near the top. And then there should be more details in the bottom, in the middle, and at the bottom there would be buttons to control things and to switch to other views or something, even for something like the weather app. Right? So it's the same flow, right? Top to bottom. And when you look at websites, how people look at websites, the most important stuff that they always notice first is always going to be in the top left corner, or generally near the top, and then people parse the site from top to bottom. So this is a very general rule. Like I said, with scripts, it's not as universal. This is Hebrew writing that goes from right to left. So left to right is not quite as natural a mapping. So when you were earlier saying, previous chapter, next chapter in your example of an audio player, you were saying let's switch tracks and previous next. That's maybe something that if you go up and down might be more natural, like flowing down a list of chapters. Everybody will understand that. If you go left, right, it might be confusing depending on which writing system people are using. This is a surprisingly complex road sign. I'm hoping that you guys all know what it means. Otherwise, let me know when you're driving and I'll stay off the streets. But why does this sign work? So what kind of rule is this sign using? And think about the biological analogies, natural mapping, cultural analogies. What kind of assumptions does the sign make? Yes?
Red equals bad.
Red equals bad. So in our case, we know traffic signs. Red means if I'm showing you something red, that means be careful, right? If it's about yourself. Yes, so that's used. So the red color as indicating danger, which again is actually a cultural thing, right? It doesn't work in every culture like this. Yes.
Yeah, it's also a voodoo design because I have to assume that
the red buttons, the red arrow which points in my direction stands for me, I have to wait, and the black arrow stands for the other lane.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Which is, that's right. And maybe there is something going on. Maybe you're also floating above your car in visualizing how your steering wheel turns. But what you just said actually makes a different assumption that is not quite obvious. You said this arrow means yourself. Why does it mean yourself? Why do you associate yourself with this arrow and not with this one?
Because it points in the direction I am driving when I would like.
Are you driving up? You got a floating car? That's pretty cool.
It's
Yeah, you're onto something. That's exactly what I'm trying to go to. Why is up sort of associated with forward? There's a reason, and that's actually a biological reason. Physical reason, if you want. Yeah?
I mean, that's how we see things. If you look at a long road going ahead, the nearer ones are more on the bottom and the far end is on top of that.
Exactly, right? So that is because our eyes happen to be located above, like a meter 70, whatever, above ground. If we were all walking with our eyes a meter 70 below ground, that wouldn't work, but we don't do that. So since we are always having a perspective on level ground from the top, that's why things that are further away are higher up in our field of vision. So this going from low to high actually maps, when I look at a street, from the next pole on the street to the pole that is hundreds of meters away. It goes up. So as I move forward, or if I see a car driving away in front of me, it will go up in my field of vision. So that makes sense. Yes?
I think another point is that this arrow is on the right side, isn't it?
Yes, of course. Absolutely. So the right side is the other thing. We drive on the right-hand side, so we associate the right-hand arrow with ourselves and the other one with the other lane of traffic. So all these things are playing together here, and that's, I think, important to realize. Here's another example. This is a display from a stock exchange in China. And if you look at that to us looks like, oh, that's not good. It's red, but actually, the red color here is used for a positive development of a stock exchange rate, right? And green is bad. So not something you would expect. So be aware that some of these things are biologically universally true, like the top-bottom things. Other things like right-left, or what does red mean, what does green mean, what does white, yellow, etc. mean, are very culturally specific. Of course, some controls are universally bizarre, right? So I don't know how that one came about, but anyway, no comment on that one. So as a result, we've got some design principles now that we can already take away from what we've talked about. We know that when we design an interface, and this could be an interface for a pencil sharpener, or it could be an interface for controlling a nuclear power plant, it doesn't matter. Discoverability is always key. Can I see what the state of the interface is, the state of the system is? Can I see what I can do with it? What's the state? What are the things I can do? Second thing, a good conceptual model. So the operations that I can do, the results that would come out, are presented consistently. It's always clear what something means when I've already seen something related. And as a user, I get a coherent picture of the system through this system image or user interface that the designer has shaped that I'm interacting with. Those models should be the same, hopefully. We've seen that good mappings, or natural mappings, are a great way to support the design of good interfaces, because we can map naturally between actions and their results in the real world, or controls and their effects, or the other way around. So an internal system state or a real world value and its visualization in the interface. And then finally, providing feedback about what's going on. Remember what the hairdryer did, for example. Continuously and completely, those are things that will also be of great help.
This content was provided by RWTH Aachen University.